Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you're watching us from. Welcome to the Rundown, where we talk about 2A news with conservative views. I will be your host today, coming at you from the left coast, from behind enemy lines, otherwise known as California. And my name is Craig DeLuz. But as those of you who watch the program on the regular know, I do not do this by myself.
Hey, everybody, how's it going? I'm coming to you live from the East Coast, from Florida, from the great state of Florida. My name is Mike Piwowarski. I am the co-host today for the Taco Tuesday edition of The Rundown.
Right now, who does not love tacos?
Listen, I heard about a dude one time who was allergic to tacos, and he ended up taking lots and lots of shots so he could still take the tacos.
Well, there you go. See, that's why we call it Taco Tuesday, because everybody loves tacos.
Everybody, and there's so many kinds of tacos.
Well, exactly. There's got to be a kind of taco that is for you. So even if you don't think you like tacos, you just haven't had the right taco yet.
There you go, and that's it. It's not a matter of the wrong taco. You just haven't found the right taco yet.
So hopefully our show will inspire you to do so, to go look for a taco that works for you.
Yes, exactly. Please do so. Please spend your Tuesday back to work. I want you, this is your assignment, folks. You have to go out and look for a taco. Don't worry about what your boss has got you doing after the long weekend. You need to go and find yourself a good taco.
Get yourself hooked up. Get yourself hooked up. Just saying. Just saying. Got to do it. Got to do it. Got to find it. Got to find it.
That's it.
Yes, sir. Okay. So, tell you what, why don't we go ahead and let's get into today's news, shall we? Okay. So, first of all, let's go with our story number one over here. As we all know, it would be hysterical if it were not so sad. Just every weekend, you go and you watch the mainstream media, or you are. Let me clarify. You go and you watch the news, and you see the death toll or the shooting toll from the city of Chicago, and it's almost like a scoreboard, because every weekend you know that the numbers are going to be going up, that there are going to be significant numbers of individuals who have been shot, stabbed, attacked due to gang violence or drug violence in the city of Chicago, and the one of the worst weekends on the regular tends to be the 4th of July weekend, Independence weekend. So while many of us, the rest of us throughout the country, are celebrating our nation's independence from a tyrannical government, folks in the city of Chicago, well, they're running for their lives. There were 16 people were shot and killed. Another 100 were shot and wounded in the city of Chicago. A city with, by the way, some of the strictest gun laws in the entire country. Just once again belying the whole, the more gun control, that gun control save lives.
Yeah, absolutely, Craig. Let me click over here. I'll take a look at our current stats that I can look at live out of the city of Chicago. We'll just go from July 1st, because I guess we can start that. Call that the long weekend, right? So starting July 1st, shot and killed 25, shot and wounded 121, total shot 146. There were a total of 28 homicides. So we had 3 non-shooting homicides so far as of right now in the city of Chicago. So yeah, these are tragic numbers. We hear this all the time. Oh, well, we had 17 killed at Parkland, so we got to take the rights of constitutional rights of 18 to 20-year-olds so they can't have firearms. 17 killed is obviously a tragic number. Here we have, in the last 5 days in the city of Chicago, 28 homicides, 25 via gunfire. Yet that doesn't seem to be a problem. And Greg, why is it not a problem? Why is this stuff going on in Chicago not a problem?
Well, because obviously the guns are the violent things, and gangs are not violent at all. And those who traffic in drugs, in illegal drugs, they're not violent at all either. They're just victims of circumstance, clearly of capitalism and of the white man. So therefore, they're not violent. It's the guns that are violent.
Right, and this is, let's see, in Chicago, of those 25 shot and killed, 121 shot and wounded, 2 were police officers, and 2 were a 5-year-old and a 6-year-old girl, I believe. They were just outside walking
Yeah.
with the parents and caught a couple of bullets that were flying through the air on a, like you said, a drug gang versus drug gang drive-by.
Well,
But
and that's the thing is the idea that and then keep in mind these are the same politicians that are want to decriminalize crime. They want things that should be crimes that have been crimes. People think things that people were being locked up for. They don't want them to be crimes anymore, and they want those same criminals out on the street. And then they wonder why crime in general goes up, and then why violent crime goes up, and it's gone up dramatically in every major city across the country. But for some reason, even though gun laws haven't gotten any looser in those areas, what's gotten looser is what's gotten loose is the criminals have gotten loose, and they just absolutely refuse to tie the fact that they're letting criminals out on the street with the fact that there's more violence.
it doesn't matter to them. Chicago's willing to suck it up and take it. They don't care. It doesn't matter to them. They don't. It's minority on minority. It's criminal on criminal for the most part. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't gain the attention of anyone else. It's bad enough you got the Cubs there. You just lost 10 games in a row with your Cubbies. So now you got to deal with all these people getting shot as well. So
I'm like this. You know what? The people of Chicago, listen up. Yeah, just make it real simple for you. If you want things to change, you need to change. You got to change your leadership. If you're willing to tolerate Mayor Lightfoot or Mayor Lightweight, if you're willing to tolerate Mayor Lightweight's plan, there doesn't really seem to be one, for addressing crime and violence in your city, if you're willing to tolerate it, then you get what you get and you don't throw a fit. But I think from these numbers we can see that what you're getting is not working. And if you're not willing to change who's running your government, who's running your police force, well then you're going to get what you get.
Well, we know who's running their government. It's the White House, because that's the trend there now in the city of Chicago.
Right.
But be careful saying the mayor's name, Craig. If you say it 3 times, she'll appear. So
Okay, we'll not say it one more. I will not say it one more time. In fact, I think what we'll do is we'll be safe and we will move on from this particular story. Okay, so moving on to our next story. Now, this is one. Now, we all know. If you've been following, once again, this show, or following what's been going on, or if you're in gun rights at all, you know the name Dave Chipman. You know that he is anti-gun lobbyist. You also know that he is Joe Biden's nominee to run the ATF. You know that agency that's supposed to be about law enforcement, nonpartisan law enforcement. Yet, well, even now at this point. After they found out that, number one, just with his checkered past, and then on top of it, the fact that he has deleted, they say, like thousands of former tweets that demonstrated his extreme position on the Second Amendment or against the Second Amendment, that even moderate Democrats are having a difficult time being willing to support his candidacy to run the ATF. Quite frankly, Mike, his nomination could seriously be in jeopardy, because he can't do it unless he gets unless he gets every single Democrat vote, or one Republican decides to go over and support him.
Listen, if he were to become the head of the ATF, Craig, I don't know that the Supreme Court could keep up fast enough with his illegal orders to keep this country from erupting in bloodshed against him and his agency. It's that bad, this guy. He's David the Waco Chipman. And like you said, this is sitting at 50-50 right now, predicted 50-50. We know that Senator Susan Collins, the Republican, she has said she will not be voting for him. And she has voted for a lot of Biden's nominations here, but they have not been controversial. And she came right out and said he's been controversial. But still, that puts it at 50-50 unless something drastically changed. So there's a group of other senators that we're really watching, we're really paying close attention to. John Tester, at a Montana Democrat there, and has hugely said a couple of times that he'll take a look at everything in the background of Shipman here to make sure he does not step on the Second Amendment rights of the great people of the state of Montana. Kristen Sinema down in Arizona, we know she won there with the within the past 2 years. So she's a new senator down there, but she's also aware of the constitutional rights and the proud Second Amendment rights of the people of Arizona. So is Maggie Hassan in New Hampshire, as well as the independent Angus King up in Maine. With trying to side with Susan Collins there. So if any of them happen to slide over, then it would be game over, unless we had some crossover Republicans, but they do not appear to be ready to fall into Chipman's good graces and want to vote for Chipman. So it's up to these four now, these four Democrats. And then, of course, I'm sorry, don't forget Joe Manchin out of West Virginia, right, the fifth, that is also a very, very big swing vote.
Well, you mean West Virginia, the state that actually just voted to end taxes on guns and ammo. So
yes,
just so you know, that they're West Virginia, and I think he is an example of a bellwether politician who is going to follow the voters. I don't see him supporting Dave Chipman. The scary thing about this is, or not the scary thing, I think the heartening thing about this is, if they had the votes, there would have been a vote by now.
Yes.
If they had the votes, they would have voted. So we know that at least right now, there's not the votes there, and I just don't see it getting any better for the Waco kid in this particular case.
Well, Craig, they're dragging this on, and I know you're a conspiracy connoisseur. It's almost as if they're dragging it on, waiting for another assault rifle shooting to occur somewhere in the country so they can ride that wave and bring in the Waco kid.
Yeah, the problem is that all the shootings that have taken place have all been with those pesky, handguns. The things that they know they cannot ban, the things that they can't hold out as scary assault weapons, at least not yet. I mean, eventually they're going to go after single shot muskets and call them assault weapons, but
exactly. But they have to have the proper time to plan these mass shootings, Craig. I mean, they just don't happen overnight,
Right. But they do tend to happen right on time, don't they?
They sure do. It's a weird coincidence, isn't it?
Right. Which is all the more reason why we ought to be, we need to be armed and prepared so that we can address those. Should we be in the appropriate vicinity when it happens?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely right.
And then we'll be ready with our microphones
and our cameras.
Yeah, what you're saying at Arms Room?
Exercise your Second Amendment rights responsibly.
Right. If you're not ready,
get ready, and if you are ready, stay ready.
There you go.
Remember,
exactly.
Keep your head on a swivel.
Head on a swivel. Gotcha. Okay, moving right along. Talk about a head on a swivel. Anybody who's been paying attention to what's going down at the border, knows that it is a hot ghetto mess down there. They know that it is just bad. Anybody who's fully acknowledging what is going on at the border, which pretty much would mean everybody outside of the Biden administration or outside of the D.C. Democratic community knows and understands that the border, things are just getting worse and worse and worse. And quite frankly, most of the American public, even though it's coming to them through the lens of the Democrat-supported mainstream media, most Americans now, according to polls, are not in favor of how Joe Biden is handling the border. And one has to wonder what sort of a role this is going to be playing in the upcoming midterm elections.
So the majority of people in the United States do not support Joe Biden's plan at the border. My question, Craig, is a lack of a plan actually a plan? I mean, I can hear the old Rush song in my head. If you've chosen not to make a decision, then you've made a decision. But is a lack of a plan really a plan? This guy's done nothing. And if he has done it, it has been in secretness, and he has not shared it with the outside world because he does not want people to see his horrible plan. The only way that they seem to try and get around this is they say, well, we're having record numbers of people come forward. So it's hard to take care of it because it's been record numbers of people that are coming forward trying to get into the United States. Okay, well, you've been ignoring this since day one. You've been ignoring this since before day one. Your answer to border issues was stop building the wall. That's all. That's the only thing you had going for you, and let them out of the cages. And by the way, the having the half the border wall there or 3/4 of the border wall done is just making the issue worse. You need to finish it up is what you need to do. That way you can actually control your problem, Joe. I don't know. It's almost like like a wall would work. Like that's what the American people wanted.
Not just that, but once they get here, It's catch and release. They know that once they get across. Now, here's the thing. They are saying, well, they're not welcome. We're not letting them in. Yeah. If they go to the border crossing where they're supposed to cross the border and try and get in, then yeah, no, they're not going to let them in. But then you go down the street and you hop over the fence, and once you're in, you're in. They catch you, they give you a ticket, and they say, show up to court. And you never do.
Yeah, and it's exactly what's going on, and they were just letting them in, and they're becoming a more and more severe stressor upon the economy. Look around, folks. You can be lied to all day long about what a great economy we have going on. How much you pay for gas this weekend when you went away for your 4th of July, huh? How much you paying for steaks at the supermarket? How much you paying for milk? All right, look at your essentials, check those prices, and see what's going on, and you tell me if we're not in economical trouble here.
Well, Mike, here's something else. And this is, once again, we'll go back to the whole conspiracy connoisseur thing. Sometimes I wonder if what they're thinking is, look, we'll get them into these states where people aren't going back to work, taking these, the low paying jobs, and they'll come in, they're here illegally, they'll fill these low wage jobs. And then when we cut off the benefits, then what's going to happen? When we cut off the additional benefits and people go back to work, all of a sudden they're going to find those jobs that were there are no longer going to be there because they're going to be taken by people who are not necessarily here legally.
Yeah, it's a horrible method that they're using, and we know that, again, this is just going to drain our resources, drain our pockets. And the whole plan is to just allow them to come in, Craig, because if we can get them to be, legal or at least registered, residents, where we give them paperwork. They're not supposed to be here. They're illegally here, but we're going to give them paperwork. We know at that point we can get them to vote in certain states, Craig, where ID is not required. So as long as I hand these people a check and an ID card, they'll go vote for me.
Well, man, and here's the thing. I don't fault anyone for wanting to come to America and be and become an American, because
not at all.
We are the greatest country in the world, and I get that if I were somewhere else, I would do whatever I could to try and get here. But I also would do it understanding that, our first obligations, our government's first obligation, is to the people that are here, to American citizens, and making sure that we're protecting our economy. Because part of this thing is this: if our economy collapses under the weight of trying to take care of the entire world, then we can help no one, right? If we can't help ourselves, then we can help no one. If we're starving, if we're unemployed, if we're not educating our children, if we're not maintaining our infrastructure, how can we then take on more of the world's issues, world's problems, and world's challenges? And that's really what this is. That's what's showing up at our border, are the fact that these other countries aren't able to take care of their own business. But here's the thing, folks, and even in those other countries, what does the Declaration of Independence say? Governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. Look, the fact is a lot of these folks should be fighting to change things in the country where they're coming from. Instead of trying to basically fundamentally change. And that's part of the other issue, is they're coming here and they're trying to fundamentally change the United States and make it like where they came from. And my point is, it didn't work out too well for you where you came from.
Well, Craig, listen, it's what you're doing, right? It's the reason you're still in California and you haven't moved to a free state, because you're there fighting the tyranny you have in your own state. So, I mean, it's the blueprint for others to follow. Listen, Craig, I don't know how much time we got. We got some time. I'm gonna give you Mike's view on border issues and how we should handle this problem. One is build that wall. We need to build that wall. We finished building that wall, and then instead of all these crossing points, we put welcome centers. But you have welcome centers where you come in. You go in, you get your fingerprints done, you get your DNA test, whatever you have to do. Our people in law enforcement there at the borders will determine whether you're a wanted criminal back in your own country. If you are, you're going back. If you're not, what's your occupation? Oh, you're a baker. Hold on here. Let's see. We've got baker openings in Montana, so we'll send you up there. We'll give you a nice room and board for 6 months. By the way, if you don't speak the language, you don't hold that job for 6 months, you're going back. That's all there is to it. Oh, wait, you don't have a skill set? Looks like we need ditch diggers in Nevada. You're going to Nevada. And by the way, if we catch you in between the checkpoints, if you come over one of those in between checkpoints, we're going to be running a shuttle van well, excuse me, a shuttle plane down to Antarctica, and we'll be dropping you off there. Try again. Come back next time.
Did you say Antarctica?
The furthest point away we can get. We're going to drop you off there, and then you can work your way back.
Wow. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Well, that's the Mike. That's the Mike P. border plan.
Yep.
If you listen, Biden. Oh, there you go. Listen to Mike P. That's the Mike P. border plan.
There you go. That's how it works. That's how it works.
I love it. I love it. Okay, moving right along. So what's been one of the things that's been happening, and you guys, if you work for the government anywhere, if you work for any many major corporations, if you're dealing in public schools, you know that critical race theory is a thing. And to break it down for you real simply, it simply says that America is a racist country. It has always been a racist country. This is critical race theory, not Craig DeLuz. But that it's always been a racist country. If you are white, you are inherently racist, and there's really nothing you can do about it. If you're black, you are inherently oppressed, and there's really nothing you can do about it. The only way in which we can overturn any of this is by overturning every single structure, every single societal thing that we have. We need to tear up the family. We need to tear up. The family and the family structure. We need to tear down religion. We need to tear down the government, the criminal justice system, the education system, and replace it with something better. More than likely, something Marxist, and that's pretty much critical race theory as a whole. Well, now the nation's largest teachers union, the National Education Association, the NEA, has said we are going to wholly support critical race theory, and we're going to push to make sure it's in our schools. We don't give a damn what parents want. We don't care that parents don't want this taught to their children. We're going to push it, and we're going to use all of our political weight in order to advance this particular theory.
Craig, I'm coming up with a new plan, new policy here. Goes right along with my my Antarctic exportation plan. Is defund the teachers. Or the teacher. How about the teacher unions? Defund the teacher unions, because I think teachers in general want to help children. They want to teach the right method. But I believe these unions have gotten to the point where they have become so liberal and so left, trying to buy favor and buy votes with politicians, that they're coming up with this crap like this. So I believe we should defund the teacher unions. Listen, we could form another union, but let's form it out of teachers that spend more time in the classrooms than they do up on the podium talking about critical race theory to politicians.
Well, exactly. And the thing is some of these teachers, it's like, when you talk with folks about critical race theory, you're right, there are many, many teachers who don't believe in this stuff, but they don't feel like they can say something. They feel like if they say something, they're going to be branded a racist and potentially lose their job. Because that's, in public school settings, that's one of the things where due process doesn't matter. Once you've been labeled a racist, that's it. Pretty much you're labeled your entire career. Your job will be would or could be in serious jeopardy depending on the school district that you're located in. I think that for far too long, teachers unions, the tail has wagged the dog. I feel pretty blessed that I'm in a school district where we have a very good relationship with our collective bargaining units, and that is not the case. But not every school district has that. Not every community has that. And when you have a national organization doing what these folks are doing or committing to what these folks are, it is as anti-American as you can possibly get.
We've had some states, like the great state of Florida, with Captain Florida Governor DeSantis here, passed the law, said we will not teach critical race theory in our classrooms at all. Public school, private school will not be taught. And somebody objected and said, well, it's not being taught here. And he goes, yeah, we're going to keep it that way too.
Right.
So there's simple ways to do this. These people that teach in public schools, these are government schools. They are government schools. We had some people in the FAA that were the tower controllers in aviation back in the early 80s that said, listen, we disagree. We disagree with the government policy. We're not going to be doing this. And they said, we're going to go on strike. And President Reagan said, go on strike. You're government employees. See what happens when you go on strike. And they went on strike, and he walked into the White House the next day, stood behind the podium and goes, you're fired. and they all didn't think it would happen, and he fired them, and they all got replaced, and it came around within days, weeks, everything was back to normal. So here's what happens, teachers. You go in there, you sign your statement. It says, I will not teach critical race theory. Otherwise, the big government up in DC could come down and say, you're fired. But we know that's not going to happen. So you know what? Go ahead, try where you can for the next 3 years, teach your critical race theory. We're going to, more and more states are going to have cameras in the classroom to hold you accountable for this, because parents have a say in what their students are taught, not just you, the teacher. And when the GOP takes back over, you're going to find yourself all without a job. And don't worry, because I hear they need ditches dug in northern Nevada. They're still looking for silver. Still looking for silver in the mines, baby. Still looking for silver.
Well, the thing is understand this, is that ultimately the schools are still run by the people. Because guess what? School board members are elected. And school board members set the policy. And school board members who are going to support things like critical race theory need to be held accountable. And you need to know where does your school board member stand. And by the way, here's the thing, folks. It's not that we're against about teaching about America's history and the good and the bad of American history and how we've treated different people. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with teaching about diversity and other subcultures within the United States, and helping people to understand, in particular, helping teachers to understand so that they can create the best environment for all students to be able to learn. But there's a difference between that and critical race theory, where you are coming in and you're basically teaching people that America is a racist country, because it's not. That white people are racist just because they're white, because that's BS. The fact is that this is, there's a way to teach this that doesn't divide, but that unites, that doesn't tear down, but builds up. But critical race theory is not that method.
100% agreed, Greg. 100% agreed. And listen, I understand that the president can't come down and fire your local teachers and your local school board, but what they can do is come down and say, and California got to experience this with some of the lack of cooperation with federal authorities when it came to immigration. The feds said, okay, you no longer get any federal monies from us to run your police department. And that held up. So they could come down to the schools and say, you just lost all federal funding for your school while you continue to teach critical race theory. And now, listen, in a couple of months, you won't be able to teach anything. So,
It's kind of how that whole money thing works, doesn't it? Oh, Lord. Okay, so let's talk about money. All right, let's talk about Nike is one of the largest, most successful corporations in the world. And, well, now we know why. Because they are sucking on the warm or cold heat of China. That's right. The CEO of Nike basically came out and said, "We are." Let me get. I want to get the specific quote. Nike is a brand that is of China and for China. In other words, this is there are four basically countries that a country. That basically has modern day slavery. Slavery is alive and well right now there in China. Also one that openly persecutes religious minorities like the Uyghurs, doing things like killing them, sending in rape squads into their community in order to rape their women. I mean, these are all things that happen in China that the Chinese government is supportive of. And still, that is the company that is of China and for China.
Yeah, which is ridiculous, right? And I guess that we have the workers up there in the, listen, my Chinese is a little rusty, in the Xinjiang province, where a lot of the protests are going on, where a lot of the counter fighting is going on, where we see the rape squads going out. And their government came out and excuse me, the Nike came out and said, well, we don't really use the workers from there, and we don't get a lot of textiles from Xinjiang, so it's not really about them anyway. Okay. So you're all right sending out some of your rape squads and your beat down squads, and but because the people from that region don't really provide any labor or any materials to Nike, you're okay with that somehow? I guess it's Chinese political thinking. I guess that's the only thing I can think of.
It's kind of funny. It would be like saying, well, they didn't really, I realized that over here in Auschwitz, they were gassing, Jews, but my German beer comes from over here, so it's not really associated, so therefore it's okay. No, no, it's not okay because this is, once again, when you start talking about the economy in China, Chinese businesses are owned and run by the government, right?
Yes.
And no local government acts without the national communist parties, the national government support. It's all interwoven. It is all one. So you can't say, well, because we don't get labor from over there, it doesn't really apply to us. That's not how this works. It's not. That's how it may work in the United States to a degree, but that's not how it works in China.
That's not how this works. That's not how any of this works.
This works.
Let me explain to you why China has such a booming economy, as I like to call it, an economy, a world economy that could challenge other nations. It's because they pay their employees 5 cents a day. All right, you might get a quarter if you're a supervisor. So as opposed to the United States, where you're getting a couple of $100 a day, they're paying their employees slave wages, even less than slave wages, a quarter a day. So they get to take all that difference in money and fund their government and fund their economic growth. So they don't have a great economy. They just have a lot of freaking slaves, okay? And they save that money and put it towards everything else they want on their economy and their gross national product. Well, they don't have a good economy. Well, they have a great slave system.
Well, and don't forget that they completely and utterly ignore all of the both workplace regulations and environmental regulations that folks like President Biden would heap upon us here in the United States, putting us at an economic disadvantage to anywhere else in the country. But they completely out and outright ignore any of it. I still remember when the Olympics were held there. I remember how bad the air was because there were so many pollutants coming out of China. No, it is you are 100% correct, Mikey. The fact that they completely and utterly ignore whether it's wage laws or wages, they pay low wages, they destroy the economy. They don't care about the rest of the world. They don't care about their own people. All they care about is their dominance. And then you got guys like LeBron James, who seem to have every issue in the world with the United States. But where's he on China? Where you at, King James?
He was too busy making Space Jam, because that's what the world needed, was to replace Michael Jordan. How arrogant is this guy that he thinks he's got to replace Michael Jordan in a cartoon, to prove that he's that good? Just go away, LeBron.
When you're not that good, that's what you have to do. Well, let me clarify. He is good. He's just not that good. Got to give him credit. Give him credit. He is good. He is good. He's top 3 to 5, but he ain't that good.
Well, yeah, because the refs don't call anything on him. Of course, he's top 3 to 5. He gets to play longer than everybody else does. He gets to take more shots.
That there be how it be.
A hack a shack at him every once in a while. All right, come on. It's just ridiculous.
Point made. All right, let's move on to our parting shot. We talked a little bit about this a little earlier. You guys all know our good friend David Chipman. Well, how many of you remember from the Obama days the program The Fast and the Furious? Right. Well, we have a new installment, Fast and the Furious, the Tyrant Edition,
starring David Chipman, Eric Holder, Barack Obama, and that one ATF guy. That's the guy you always say. The one ATF guy. Fast and Furious, Tyrant Edition. FightChipman.com is a real website. Go to FightChipman.com and learn how to keep David the Waco Kid from taking your guns away from you.
Yeah. We want to, just for folks who haven't heard in the past, I'm sure a lot of our folks are, why do you keep calling him the Waco Kid?
Because he was at Waco. He'll tell you he was not at Waco, but all of his testimony and everything afterwards was, we don't need 50 cals in civilian hands because they were shooting down our helicopters at Waco with the Branch Davidians. He's there posing with a rifle with some over the burning buildings in the back, and he says that that's photoshopped. That wasn't really there. Whatever. Your reports are there. Your reports are there showing that your name was there and that you were there. You are the Waco Kid.
Exactly. Own it. They need, in my opinion, they're at a point. It's at a point right now where they're just giving they're giving us too much ammunition, and they need to just cut it off, and they need to nominate someone else. They need to pull down his nomination. I know they feel like it's going to be a loss for them, but here's the thing: at a certain point, you just got to take your lumps and go away.
Well, Craig, that would normally apply, except when you're waiting for the new mass shooting with the black rifle to happen. Then you ride the wave of David Chipman after that.
Right. Well, evidently their plans are behind because it's getting so bad that even their own folks are defecting.
Yep, absolutely, and it needs to happen soon because otherwise, Craig, it's going to happen. There'll be another, horribly, timed shooting that just happens to occur while this guy's up for his nomination vote.
Yep. I hear you. Hey, want to remind everybody, this Friday is Freedback Friday. You guys know what Freedback Friday is, right? What do we call it? Why do we call it Freedback Friday, Mikey?
Because you give us feedback and we give you free stuff, so you get Freedback Friday. This week, we have from our good friends at Gorilla Machining, we have a lower parts kit that goes for America's rifle. And they're also going to be giving you a T-shirt as well. I don't know the size of the T-shirt. It does not seem to be a size on here. But here, maybe if you pause that and focus in on that, then you can find out what size the T-shirt is. Otherwise, go visit our good friends at Gorilla Machining. They are our primary sponsor the next couple of weeks, and then after that, I know our good friends from Grid Defense will be back. So thank you to both of them again.
Exactly. Very much appreciate you supporting them, supporting us. Their links are in the description to this video. Also, make sure if you haven't already done so, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on Facebook. Follow us on the Twitters and the Instagrams and all of that, and encourage your friends to do the same. And by the way, Freedback Friday, even though we broadcast on a number of different channels, if you want to participate, you got to go to the Rundown either on YouTube or on Facebook, because those are going to be the channels that we monitor when we do Freedback Friday.
Freedback Friday coming up. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, and then when you're done with that, like, share, subscribe.
And encourage your friends to do the same. We will see you tomorrow on Hope Day.
Hope Day.
Talk to you later.